What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Prime Time. We're here with Coach Mayo,
What's good, everybody?
aka
It's your boy,
Tony,
Big T.
Big T in the cut. Welcome back. I know it's been a long time. Well, not a long time, but it's been a while since we done an episode. But welcome back to the EndZone Pods podcast, Pat's podcast. Let's go. Look, after seeing what we've been doing in training camp and winning two preseason games in a row, and I understand that it's just preseason, but encouraging all around. What do you think?
I think it's very encouraging after last year, the way we consistently shot ourselves in the foot,
Mm-hmm.
to not have a lot of those same mistakes translate into the games. I know a lot of reports came out of training camp and out of practices that a
Right.
lot of mistakes were being made, whether it was fumbles, bad snaps, interceptions, those type of things. But at least penalties haven't killed us in the two games so far, and turnovers haven't killed us either.
Right.
So it's encouraging to see the progress that the team is making. So
Right.
it looks good. As we were there
Right. Right.
for the game against the Commanders,
Yep.
and it was very encouraging to see the energy level and the passion
Right.
that the stadium had once again. It looks like there's a lot of optimism around the team, and rightfully so. If you look at some of the talent we have, like Travion Henderson
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and your
What?
guy there.
Yeah, Chisholm, the Joe Burrow receivers. That's an inside joke that me and Coach had. no, but no, but later on we're gonna talk about guys who made the 53-man roster. But speaking of training camp, I just want to bring up these notes today. These were from Taylor Kyles, who was there at the practice today. And today the Patriots were working on hurry ups. So Drake May hit Ramondre Stevenson on a flat route completion. He hit Hunter Henry on a short middle completion, and Hunter Henry was hit on a seam and also was completed off a pump fake. And I believe it says right here that Stevenson left practice early. No further details at this time, but hopefully it's nothing too big or too major. I'm reading here that Josh Dobbs was hitting uh I forget Jeremiah Webb, if I'm not mistaken, if that's his first name, on a short completion route. Then he hit Pop Douglas on a slant route, and hit Webb again out of on a wide out completion. And also, and this is not going to be good for Mr. Cole Strange here, but he fumbled a snap. This is not good. He was taking snaps at center earlier in training camp and the first beginning of the month up to now. Um, but the thing was, coming into the season, or excuse me, coming into training camp, we had the hope that Cole Strange wouldn't, uh, well, not saying that he's hurt right now, but the hope was for him to be healthy and just not play poorly or shoot himself in the foot. What do you think?
He's definitely not doing himself any favors considering where he stands on the depth chart right now.
Right.
He doesn't have a solidified spot. So for him to not have a bad day, for him to not have a good day today is kind of telling that's not a good sign for him.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, you have Jared Wilson, you have Will Campbell on the left side, you have Morgan Moses at the right tackle position, you have Michael Wenu, and apparently what it seems is Gary Bradbury is gonna be the starting center, moving forward. Not my favorite, you know, to say the least. Not my favorite thing to see the least. But moving forward, I think that Cole Strange, is gonna either be like either the second string or third string at least. Because we seen during the preseason he took in a lot of snaps, with the twos and the threes. So I think that he makes the roster, but he's gonna be just the backup in my opinion because we seen that Jared Wilson has been doing good in training camp. Will Campbell, he's been doing good. He had some, growing pains, but nonetheless, he's not shooting himself in the foot. He's from, what we have seen in the interviews with right tackle Morgan Moses. He asks questions. He's in those meeting rooms. He takes notes. He studies, and everything else. So bottom line is, I think that as far as like the offensive line, I think those will be our starters. Because the projection was it was gonna be Will Campbell, Cole Strange, Garrett Bradbury, Michael Wenu, and Morgan Moses. But if you're over here taking snaps at the twos with the twos and the threes, and you're over here fumbling snaps, and because let's not forget, Tony, he wasn't only taking snaps at left guard, he was taking snaps at center and right guard. I mean, so I wouldn't be surprised, because let's not forget, earlier this year the Patriots decided not to pick up the fifth-year option for him, and that kind of tells you that his chances are very high of him either, in my opinion, either getting cut, traded, and if we do keep him around, due to the contract that he's under, you know, he could be out the door. That's what I think.
Well, as far as the options that you just listed, I don't see much of an opportunity for him to get traded because I don't see him having much trade value. To be quite honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
I could see him either being
That's fair.
outright
That's fair.
released or
Yeah.
quite possibly being kept for a depth piece because we're going to need some depth along the offensive line. As you know, through players getting injured and through poor play here and there, you're going to need some experienced offensive linemen as quality depth pieces. But as far as trade value, I don't really think that he has much, to be honest
Right.
with you.
Right. 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 Yeah. It's an unfortunate situation for Cole Strange, because you guys heard me talk about in episodes before where I think that Cole Strange can you know bounce back. I mean, we know that he was not healthy. In the 2023 season, he had a decent year in 22 when we drafted him as a rookie. You know, but injuries and what killed this man, and that led to his inconsistent play. I mean, I'm not one to bash a player, but if you look at where we are now, the what you call it, the vision is just obvious. With Mike Vrabel coming in, with Josh McDaniels, Terrell Williams, the entire coaching staff coming in, and what we did in the scouting department, how we drafted, and everything else, and what we did in free agency, the vision is clear. We want to win. I mean, I can't promise you what our record's gonna be like. That's a conversation for another time, or later on. But it's clear what the vision is, and we seen it later. I mean, early on this year, Vrabel got rid of the uh, players from the Brady era. You got rid of David Andrews. Uh, what's his name that just went to the Dolphins? Joe Cordona. You released Jawan Bentley. You definitely got rid of a lot of players from the Brady era, and the thing is, you don't want to and from what it seems is, you know Vrabel doesn't want to lose. I mean, and plus he's not built on losing. Look what he did at Tennessee. I mean, but like I said, those are conversations for another day. But I want to talk about some of the other stats that we got from training camp from Taylor Kyles. So like I said again, the Patriots were running hurry ups today. So Drake May, he hit Hunter Henry on a seam route, but it was incompleted. He what you call it? He hit Douglas for a short middle game, but was hit by Harold Landry, which would have counted as a sack. And he had a pass attempt to Kayshawn Booty, but it was broken up by Alex Austin. And he hit Hunter Henry on a cross route, which was completed, and he got intercepted by Robert Spillane. So for what it seems is, they're trying to for what it seems is they're trying to get Drake May to you know take charge here in this offense. I mean, you see what Josh McDaniels' whole system is upon. It's about getting the ball out quick. It's about getting the ball where it needs to be at the right time. And sure, we're not gonna just sit up here and say that, yeah, interceptions is, is bad. I mean, we're not gonna excuse me, make excuses and say that Drake May, you know, shouldn't throw interceptions. I mean, it's obvious that it's the quarterback's fault for throwing interceptions. But what I'm trying to say is I'm not gonna knock him for throwing interceptions in practice because like we talked about before, Tony, right? Tom Brady threw picks in practice when he was, in New England when we had the dynasty, you know, and quarterbacks often throw picks all the time in practice. Not saying that they do it on purpose or anything. It's just that's just what it is. That's really the point is. I mean, so and it's kind of like what I was saying about Will Campbell the other day. When people try to say that, oh, he's a bust, we should have never drafted him with the fourth overall pick. Um, I don't like to hear that excuse of, oh, he has short arms. That's why we should have never drafted him. And it's just fans like to take things out of proportion and everything else. But that's just what it is. I'm not gonna knock him for throwing picks because he also threw two interceptions in practice today. It doesn't say what the second interception was from, but um that's what I'm reading right now. But I want to get your take on this. Go ahead.
Well, it's like I had told you before. People talk about year two of a quarterback, and it's a very important year.
Right.
No doubt, it's a very important year. But at the same time, in Drake May's situation, he's got a new coach, new offensive coordinator, so he's learning a new system and he's getting acclimated to new players.
Absolutely.
Not trying to make excuses for him. Turnovers are always bad, so I'm not trying to make excuses for him. I'm just saying,
And it's not like he was throwing them back to back during training camp. So go ahead.
yeah, I'm just saying that slow it down and let's see what happens in the games. As long as it doesn't translate into making those same mistakes in the games, whether it was a bad read or trying to improvise and do something that's ill advised, we will have to see because obviously the training camp right now is closed to the public, so we won't really know, and other than the reporters that are there, the
Exactly. Yeah.
circumstances of how these interceptions came about. But I still think he's a very good quarterback, and I have faith in him. And it sounds like his teammates do as well. So
Yeah. If and that's just another thing too. If you can get trust from your teammates and if your coaches are saying high praises about you because this isn't the first time throughout camp that the players have spoken high praises for Drake May, but also Vrabel has been saying a lot of good things about May. Josh McDaniels also, and I read a report yesterday that Josh McDaniels met with the media and told him that he likes where he is right now. He's done a very good job adapting to the system. And before anyone says anything, you know, I totally understand that, of course, when you're on the podium, you can't talk bad about your players,
mhm.
but I think this is the case where, this isn't where, oh, of course he has to say it. I mean, he's his coach after all. I mean, from all the reports we have read, right, I could actually believe that. I mean, it's not like, um, it's not like they're fooling anybody, of course, but from, what we have seen and what we have heard, you know, it seems that Drake May is getting comfortable. I mean, what more can you say? I mean, that's my thing.
Well, everything that I'm seeing and hearing lately is that Coach Vrabel is really looking for him to take more of a leadership role,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks like he's taking on more and more of that. As you showed me, him getting his teammates together in the off season for workouts,
Oh yeah.
things of
Yep.
that nature. That shows leadership,
Right.
taking accountability for the mistakes that you're making and for the learning curve, where you're at in it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's all accountability. That's all leadership. So I think he'll be fine. It's just a matter of waiting till the games count for real, and let's see where we're at. Because if you remember at the start of training camp, we were hearing a lot of negative things about the offense, about the offensive line, about the receivers, about where they were at with things. There was a lot of mistakes, and they've cleaned it up and they've progressively gotten better. So as long as they continue to improve, what else can we ask for?
Right, right. Now, I want to get a little off topic real quick because I want to give this hot take. This is non-Patriot related, but here's my hot take. I think that the Detroit Lions can make it to the Super Bowl this year. And I'm going to say why. Because I like what they did in the offseason. You bring in DJ Reed after losing Carlton Davis. You got Aiden Hutchinson back healthy. And, you got Jared Goff, who, in my opinion, had a very good year because Jared Goff in 2024, he had a 72.4 completion rating with 4,629 yards, with 37 touchdowns and only 12 interceptions, which ranked him second amongst um, quarterbacks in the league as far as passing yards go. So I think that Jared Goff, is gonna take that another leap in my opinion because look, I mean, a lot of people will disagree with this after losing Ben Johnson and after losing Aaron Glenn, and of course we've seen that Ben Johnson went to the Bears as their new head coach. But I do like their roster, especially on offense with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameer Gibbs, David Montgomery, Sam Laporta, Panay Sewell at the right tackle position, and you drafted Ratledge from, if I'm not mistaken, from Georgia. And I like overall, their roster. I mean, as Isaac Tesla, I had a chance to look at his highlights from preseason. I think he looks good. I mean, it's not a subpar roster at all. I mean, I feel like they got every depth at every position. I mean, and from what how Dan Campbell took over that team, and of course, I know in the past I was making the comparisons between him and Gerard Mayo, as in because his first year he didn't have a winning record that his first year when he went to the Lions, but he built a roster over there. He built a culture, you know, and and the thing is, what I notice about the Lions is that they know how to draft. I mean, you know, and and compared to the Patriots, and I have to because I know for the past 2 years that we haven't been good. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. We haven't been good, because of bad drafting and everything else, and the lack of coaching that we had. Um, and I'm gonna tie that later on with the Patriots because I also forgot to mention right the way that we drafted and the way that we addressed the free agency. That's kind of like what the Lions have been doing going forward, and I think that's what the Patriots are doing. They're trying to build a roster, so and get any player at any position for depth. And of course, that's not to say that we're not just gonna draft anybody because we want good players too. But the point I'm trying to make is we want to, if we want to be you know teams that are competing against like Super Bowl contenders like the Chiefs, the Bills, the Rams, and so on and so forth. We need to get every player at every position, and I think that's the direction where the Patriots are going. But as far as where my Lions take goes, that's all I have to say. What do you got to say, bro?
Yeah, the Lions would have been my pick last year to go to Super Bowl. I was pretty high on them. I really thought they would have gone to Super Bowl last year.
Right.
So they're definitely in the discussion for Super Bowl contenders again this year. Like you, I like the moves that they made. Love the coaching, love his attitude, and the players really respond to him. So I definitely have Detroit in my sights as a Super Bowl contender
But
again
here's
this
the
year.
question though, right? Because if you look at the NFC North, right, you got the Vikings, the Bears, the Packers, and the Lions, right? And on paper, those teams are looking like true, potential playoff run teams. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we seen how Jordan Love was able to play last year, and and the thing is, and we seen how the Vikings are. I mean, even with Sam Darnold as the quarterback last year, you know. But question is, right? Can the Lions win the NFC North again? I mean, because from what it seems is, and excuse me, let me take that back. the NFC North is, probably the best division in that entire conference. I mean, it's kind of like the AFC North here in the AFC. You got the Bengals, you got the Ravens, you got the Steelers, you got the Browns. Teams that are loaded with talented players. I mean, that's kind of what the NFC North is. I mean, but that's my thing. I think that, the Lions can, but I don't. But I expect them to, split between their rivals. That's my take.
That's a very tough division. You're right there. That's a very tough division, but I can see Detroit winning that division. But I could also, at the end of the day, see him maybe even Minnesota win the division.
Right,
You never
right,
know.
right. Yeah.
And I know it's preseason, but the Bears looked awful good,
Oh yeah, you
you
can't
know.
hate on the Bears. No.
And I love a lot of the moves that they made. And that's not to discount Green Bay either. But I see Detroit winning that division though. I can see that happening.
Okay, so I want to. There's just some news right now about Quinshon Judkins that the Browns took from Ohio State. This was from Adam Schefter. Cleveland second round pick Quinshon Judkins will not face any charges. He and the Browns still have been unable to reach a deal, and may not until the end of any NFL investigation. As you guys know, Quinshon Judkins was facing charges of domestic violence. We're not gonna, get into deep on that, but um, happy for him, and hopefully nothing, bad happens. But also, we got news that the Cleveland Browns is also starting Joe Flacco as their starting quarterback against Cincinnati. Here's my thing, right? I want to talk about the Browns real quick. See, I have nothing. I don't see nothing wrong with the Browns at all. As far as like the receivers, tight end, offensive line, defense. It's just the thing is with the Browns, they always never had a quarterback. You know,
Agreed.
so I'm not gonna say that Joe Flacco is the future because he's around the same age as Aaron Rodgers. He played in the same era as Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Big Ben, Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees. You know, so my thing is I think this is a smart move by the Browns in my opinion because I was reading that Shador Sanders has a upper body. No, that was Travis Hunter. Has some an injury in like his shoulder or something. I'm not sure. And the thing is, what it seems is Kenny Pickett's gonna be either cut or go to the practice squad. And Dylan Gabriel, he's in my opinion, I think he locked up the number 3 spot, and Shador Sanders is the number 2. I mean, in my opinion, I think they should start Shador, but I do like this because in 2023, I mean, Flacco was able to take them to the playoffs. I mean, I'm not calling Flacco a top 10 quarterback for crying out loud, no. But I think if you have a veteran there with weapons and David Njoku, Jerry Judy, and many others there, I think this is a smart move by the Browns. What do you think?
Well, I can actually let me backtrack a second.
Go ahead, bro.
Don't they have like 5 or 6 quarterbacks on the
Oh
roster? Other
yeah.
than ones you mentioned, I want to say there's probably 6 quarterbacks on the
Oh
roster right
yeah,
now.
a lot, a lot.
So Cleveland has had some pretty solid teams over the years. As you mentioned, their biggest issue has been quarterback
Right.
because they put all their eggs in the Deshaun Watson basket,
Oh yeah.
and unfortunately, he hasn't been healthy enough to
Yeah. So
to play for them or to
so
do
this is
anything.
so this is their current quarterback room. You just mentioned Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shador Sanders, and Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley, who they got from the Ravens.
Yeah, so that's 6 quarterbacks.
Right.
So it's unrealistic to think they're going to keep more than 3.
Oh yeah.
So
And plus, you're still paying Deshaun Watson as well. So
right,
go ahead.
yeah, there's no way for them to even get out from underneath that contract. It's a fully guaranteed contract.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, so they kind of
absolutely.
screwed themselves with that one. But as far as Flacco starting goes, based on the level of experience or inexperience of the other quarterbacks, I don't think it's a bad move to start Flacco. I don't, like you said, it's not a long term solution. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
You don't draft Shador Sanders and Gabriel without the expectation that they're going to play in the next year or two.
Right.
So
Right.
I could see Shador Sanders or Gabriel taking over the starting quarterback job this season.
Right.
I don't know if Flacco's going to keep the job the whole season.
Right. Now, I want to talk about this real quick. Good news from the Rams. Sean McVay said that Matthew Stafford did a great job today at practice, but he doesn't have any updates on future plans. He did 26 plays of team drills. Today was his first day of practice, and they are seeing how he feels, talking about it one day at a time. This is good for the Rams. I like Matthew Stafford. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league, and I think that hopefully he stays healthy because I'm actually um I don't want to say of course because I'm a Patriot fan. I actually like the Rams. I like the roster. You bring in Devontae Adams. You re-sign one of your offensive linemen. You bring in I forgot who the tight end that they drafted in I think it was it wasn't Gunnar Helm. I can't remember who was it that they drafted. But I they did have a good draft. You got Puka Nakua there at your what you call at your X, and hey, I mean, hopefully that they still continue to you know play hard, and as we know they are, and I think they actually can win the division this year, in my opinion. I mean, of course you have the 49ers there, you got the Seahawks, and you got the Cardinals there, but I think that with what it seems, what it's shaping up to be, is that the Rams are going to take that division. I mean, of course, the 49ers, you have Brock Purdy, you got George Kittle, and not to mention, you got Jawan Jennings, who stepped up very well, in my opinion. Of course, there's still big question marks on, some of the offensive line and, in your receiver room with Brandon Ayuk, still being out with the ACL injury. And, after losing, a lot of your defensive players in free agency, you lost Charvarius Ward, you lost Talanoa Hufanga, you lost Drake Greenlaw, who I mean, I forgot what I was about to say, but you know, you did re-sign Fred Warner, you did re-sign George Kittle. I mean, and you did, draft well on the defense. But my thing is, they have an easy schedule, but I just don't think that they're gonna take the NFC West. I think the Rams are gonna win the NFC West this year.
I feel like there's a lot of question marks and more question marks surrounding the other teams in the division more so than the Rams.
Right.
So I think the Rams have a little more stable situation right now. Like you said, with all the things going on with the 49ers right now, we don't know what the receiver room is going to be. We don't know how long Ayuk is going to be out.
And I also forgot to mention, they got to get that contract situation with Jawan Jennings because I
Mm,
was reading I forgot to mention this a couple months ago, not months ago, like previous months ago. I read that he wanted a new contract and he requested a trade, and I think that they should lock up Jawan Jennings. I mean, I would, and of course, I would like for him to be on the Patriots. I mean, of course, we need all the receiver depth that we get. But as far as, I think he deserves to be on the team. I mean, after when Brandon Ayuk went down, he stepped up pretty well. I mean, I think he was really, competitive. He played hard, and, you want that out of your receivers. I mean, and plus, I was about to say Francis. San Francisco, is a place where a lot of players, go to get developed. I mean, we seen how Kendrick Bourne was when he came to New England. He was developed as a receiver there. I mean, you know what I mean. So I think that I think the 49ers should give that contract extension to Jawan Jennings. I mean, I'm not saying give him like 30 or 35 million per year, like on a Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson type of level, but I think he deserves at least, like give him like what we gave Stephon Diggs. I mean, like 60 million, and then and the incentives. If he doesn't play well, then don't pay him at all. I mean, that's just my thing.
well, he does deserve a contract, but like you said, he's not going to get paid as a number one.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what San Francisco's cap situation is. If I'm not mistaken, they're kind of tight against the cap.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So they'd have to make some moves and do some maneuvering to make that happen. But I could see them wanting to keep him and having him stick around.
Right, right, right. Absolutely. Now, moving on. I want to talk. I want to get back on the Patriots. Now I want to talk about who makes the 53-man roster and who doesn't, and who doesn't. As we talked about before, uh, Henderson is a lock. Chisholm is a lock. Now, one thing I want to say about Chisholm, you guys, I made a video on TikTok yesterday talking about how I think Chisholm earned his stripes on the roster. I think that from what I was reading today, that even Jabril Peppers, was talking about he only saw him drop to one pass during training camp. I mean, of course that's his teammate, but uh, he's been killing it. We've seen it in the preseason, especially with Travion Henderson. I think these guys are gonna be a problem, bro. I think they're gonna be a problem, and also, of course, Will Campbell is a lock. I mean, you drafted him
Mm-hmm.
fourth overall in the first round for a reason, to be your franchise left tackle, and Jared Wilson. He's been doing good in training camp as well. I mean, same with Will Campbell. They both made mistakes, and that's what you have to expect from rookies. You know, so I think that they make the roster. I think that Ramondre, in my opinion, I think he's gonna be RB2 in my opinion, because we haven't seen too much of Ramondre during the preseason, um, and I don't agree with trading him or cutting him, because remember in 23 we gave him that contract extension, and we will have to take up a lot of dead cap money, and I don't think the Patriots can afford that, considering that we literally spent over 300 million in free agency last year, you know. But I think keep Ramondre as a RB2, kind of like how the Lions have David Montgomery as a RB2. I mean, you know, like, and look, they got what you call it, Jameer Gibbs as their RB1. He's all speed, and David Montgomery's all muscle, and they call him Sonic and Knuckles. I think that could be the same dynamic duo with Ramondre and Travion. I mean, not to bash the guy, but I think that what we have been seeing so far in the preseason, I think Ramondre is going to be the RB2 and Antonio, RB3. I mean, I think that would be a good running back room. What do you think?
I really, really like our running back room. So, yes, I could see that as well. You could see that Travion Henderson has just a different gear that no one else on the
Right.
team seems to have. And he also plays hungry. Like you mentioned, Chisholm, only possibly r- rumored to have only dropped one pass. That comes from a guy who's hungry. He's an undrafted free agent. He's got to make an impression. He's hungry.
Yeah.
That's where I get frustrated with guys like Baker and Polk who are on the roster bubble, not going out with the same type of hunger.
Right.
You know, drafted, you know, day one, day two draft picks, and they don't seem to have the same hunger to fight for their roster spot
Right.
as Chisholm is fighting for one.
Right. Exactly. And say we do cut either Baker or Polk, I think we could afford to take up that dead cap. I mean, they're rookies, and I'm sure you know, there's like somewhere in the contract where we cut them, we don't have to pay them any. I don't know what the contract is like, but I think we could afford to take out that money. I mean, it's a rookie contract, for crying out loud. I mean, but I also want to talk about Will Campbell, my boy Will Campbell. Um, this was from Philip Perry, and before I move forward, you guys know how much I don't like Boston sports media. I can't stand Boston sport media. I just can't. I mean, Coach will tell you I don't like Boston sport media. It's just they just take everything out of proportion, and most of their stuff is negative and everything else. And of course, you know, like us fans, I mean, we don't want to see our team do bad, but don't go on the air talking about ridiculous takes and everything else. But from Philip Perry, the Patriots feel good about where rookie left tackle Will Campbell is, and and how he's how he's developing and hold up. Oh my goodness. How he's developing and they feel secure with him. What do you think about that?
I'm happy with that. He's a rookie.
Yep.
He's learning. You know, you hear the reports coming out of training camp that he and Keon White are battling, and I'm hearing people make it sound like Keon White is a slouch. Keon White is not a slouch.
Hold up. Who said that?
The way they talk about Will Campbell when you hear reports of him getting beat at camp, you know, it kind of, to me, it kind of takes away from how good of a player Keon White
Yeah, but
is.
last time I checked, right, and from reports that we read, and during the course of the summer, they both got the best of each other. So I don't know, I don't understand what's the hippity hoppity things about.
But that's what
That's
I'm
not even
getting
a
at.
word, by the way. But go
No, no,
ahead.
no. That's what I'm getting at,
Yeah,
though. You know, because he's gotten beat by Keon White, they make it sound like, okay, Will Campbell is either behind schedule or not the future at left tackle.
I don't like that statement at
It,
all. I really don't.
but again, this is from Boston sports media. I'm hearing.
And why do you think I don't like Boston sports media? I mean, go ahead.
I can't name anybody specific, but those are
Right,
things that I'm seeing and
right.
hearing. You know, the concern about Will Campbell because he's getting beat in training camp, but at the same time, like you said, there's also reports that he's winning some of these battles as well,
Right.
and he's going against a very good player in Keon White.
And also, let's talk real quick. Let's talk about the Boston sports media. And hey, you guys heard it from T. Look, he just made the point on why I don't like Boston sports media. But anyway, moving forward, look, real quick. Remember we were talking about how how Stefan Diggs had that interview with
Oh
Diana
yeah.
Rizzini, and oh my goodness. I just didn't like how they took that situation out of proportion. And also, I don't know if you saw the interview in one of the training camp sessions where Phil A. Perry and was asking questions was asking Mike Rabel some questions, and Mike Rabel was like, are you kidding me? Are you asking me? Are you asking questions and answering them for me, or And I was like, yes, kill him, Mike Vrabel, please, cause the thing is with Boston media, right? You know, you could tell that they live off the past. I mean, they want and like us fans, we want a Super Bowl, we want to win, like any other fan base do, but like don't ask the coach questions that you already know the answers to. That's my thing, bro. I mean,
But see, I'm not here to call out any particular media person.
no, I
Eh,
just want to know if you saw the interview. That's it.
No, I heard about it, but I didn't see it. But at the same time, I'm not trying to call out anybody because there are several Boston sports media members that I agree with a lot of their takes.
Right.
So it's not just sports media. A lot of times it's fans that are commenting, that it was a mistake taking Will Campbell,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't agree with because
Right.
he's continued to improve. He's
Yep.
going to look at some of the guys he's going up against. And if you don't hear about him in a game, that means he did his job. You don't
Exactly.
hear his name, that means he did his job.
Exactly. But of course, the fans are gonna, some fans will make the excuse of, oh, it's a preseason game. Of course, some teams are not gonna have their starters out there, you know. But let me ask you this question then. Sure, you're not gonna start your starters, but if the roles were reversed, right? If Will Campbell was getting beat by second strings and third strings, right? Wouldn't you guys be the same people that would be, saying that, hey, he's a bust? Like, let's not pick and choose,
Mm,
when and where we could call him a bust, and and
mm,
excuses. That's just what it
mm.
is. It's kind of like in the preseason game when we won against the Commanders in week 1 of the preseason. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, Jada Daniels wasn't playing this and that," but you guys acted like we played our starters for the entire game. We only played Drake May through, and Will Campbell and the rest of the stars. excuse me, the rest of the starters for just one series, and then we sat them out. It's not the Patriots' fault for having guys on the depth chart who were going out and playing hard because even David Andrews was saying that when that opportunity comes, you better show up and show out. You
Mm.
have to remember, even if it's a preseason or not, no NFL player is gonna sit there and say, "I want to lose this game," or they're not just gonna say, "Oh, um, it's a preseason game. It doesn't matter." No, any competitor will tell you that no, we want to win. Doesn't matter if it's preseason. Doesn't matter if it's training camp, practice. These guys are playing to win, and they're playing for a job, and that's just what it is. Tony, go ahead.
On top of that, some guys are playing for contracts. So how you practice translates to how you play in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, you got some guys who didn't go against the ones; they went against twos and threes. But like you said, that's not their fault that the ones didn't play on the other team. They went out and they executed.
Right.
So it'll be different when the games count for real in a couple weeks. So I can't wait for it to happen and see how it all translates. But by all accounts, we seem to be improving day after day, and that's what it's about: stringing good days together. So
Yeah. Um, I do want to talk about the receivers for the Patriots. I want to talk about who makes the cut or excuse me, who makes the team or who gets cut. So, of course, you got Stephon Diggs. That's an immediate lock. You don't just sign him 3 years for no reason. Go ahead.
okay, real quick before we get into the receiving room, since you mentioned him, Steph Diggs. I was expecting him to play. Why did you hear why he hasn't played?
Well, I heard that what you call it, Mike Vrabel was really strong on keeping him healthy and not putting because the thing is it wasn't just him that didn't start. Ramondre didn't start. Jabril Peppers didn't start. A whole lot of guys didn't start from our starter room. I mean,
Well,
I,
Ramondre got banged up, if I'm not mistaken.
oh yeah,
Ramondre got banged up.
he did, but it wasn't like on a like okay, it's a major ending injury or a season ending injury. It's kind of like where Christian Gonzalez is right now. He did not have a season ending injury, but you don't want to just throw your superstar players out there like that. Kind of look. Remember, even the Vikings didn't start Justin Jefferson or any starters, and they didn't, and even the Commanders they didn't start any of their guys either. I mean,
Well, I get that, but to me, Diggs probably should have played. He's playing on a new team and a new system.
but I did see that he was getting warmed up before the game. I did see that, but I think what it was is like Vrabel didn't want to, risk the chance of him getting injured. I mean, he looks good, but that's just my thing. I'm not truly sure, but 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 yeah.
Well, the only reason I mention is because there's been reports that supposedly he may not be up to speed with the system. But you and I talked about that the other
Yeah,
day
yeah,
too.
yeah,
You
yeah.
got to consider the source sometimes.
Yeah,
It was the same
absolutely.
sources that were talking negatively about the interview, but when I saw the interview, I didn't see the same thing that they were talking about.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. So we're not gonna get
yeah,
into it.
let's say we can.
Yeah, we already know that
Yeah.
narrative was false, but anyway, let's continue to talk about the receiver room.
All right.
So of course, Diggs is a lock.
Yeah.
You paid him 3 years, and you expect him to be your receiver one. You have Pop Douglas, who's been doing good in camp. He's a lock. We got Booty too. Okay, Booty. I just had to for old time's sake. Nah, so of course Booty's a lock. Matt Collins is a lock from what it seems because he's been consistent.
Yeah.
I gotta give it to the guy. I mean,
Big target.
yep, he's been consistent. He's a big receiver. We're not gonna call him a top 10 receiver, of course, but I think he's gonna be serviceable, kind of like how Jacoby Myers was for
Mm.
Mac Jones and everyone else. So I think he's a luck. So far, I think that's five.
That's four because you didn't
Oh,
mention Kyle
oh,
Williams. Kyle
oh,
Williams is
okay.
five.
Yeah, Kyle Williams. Yep, he's a lock. And good thing that that Kyle Williams did not like suffer a season-ending injury. Which, by the way, bad throw by Josh Dobbs, bro. Very bad throw. I mean, I get the fact that that you want to, get the ball out, but he's got to work on not, not overthrowing the ball and not throwing him and throwing behind the back. I mean, we seen it in when we were there at Gillette. He was throwing the ball a lot behind the back of Kyle Williams. He's been getting a lot of separation, and I like the fact that he was able to catch, and it was encouraging to see. So, what do you think?
I didn't see it as a bad play by Dobbs. I saw it as a good play by the defender, to be honest with you. But that's just the way I saw it. I didn't think that Dobbs necessarily put him in a bad situation. I just thought the defender made it there a
I,
lot quicker than anybody thought.
it's
So,
just the thing is, right, in the past, we seen Dobbs throw, hospital balls before. I mean, I saw it as a hospital ball. I don't. I think it was because of the way it was being thrown, because I thought he kind of overshot him a little bit. That's what I think. I mean, kind of like how when Derek Carr, threw that ball to Chris Olave, and last year he set out through the entire season for with that concussion. I mean, you know,
yeah, no. I know what you were talking about because the game that we went to, Dobbs was throwing a lot of ba-
behind,
passes behind receivers, and
yeah,
receivers were having to make almost impossible adjustments to try to have a chance at catching the ball. I didn't see that with this one. Like I said, I think the defender made a really good play, and I didn't see that Josh did anything wrong with that. But that was just me.
I mean, it is what it is. But I think Kyle Williams is a lock, so that's five,
That's
right?
five.
That's five.
So if you keep six, who do we got?
So there's Chisholm, there's Baker, there's
No,
Polk.
I thought you already mentioned Chisholm
No, I
as a
didn't.
lock. No.
Well, I think he's going to be a lock, but let's assume that the Patriots keep six. Let's
No,
just.
yeah, I thought you mentioned. Well, so what were the five then?
Oh yeah, you're right. I did mention Chisholm as
I
a
thought
lock.
you did.
Yeah, I did. Okay, so okay, let's start over. So of course,
Diggs, you said.
yep, Diggs, Chisholm, uh, Pop,
Booty.
yep, Booty, Matt Collins, Kyle
Oh, that's
Williams.
six right there.
So I guess
Okay.
I guess Bourne, Polk, and Baker are the odd man's out. I mean, I don't, and I talk a lot of good things about Kendrick Bourne, but look, we're the identity is clear. We want to win games, and we can't do that if if Kendrick Bourne has been injured and banged up a lot, and I think it's time to move on, bro. That's just what it is. It's a harsh reality. But
I like Kendrick Bourne like you do, but he didn't do himself any favors. Not that he can control this, but not being out there, not being available,
yeah,
kind of hurts him right now. So if they go at six as opposed to seven, I'd say yeah, Bourne, Baker, Polk are all gone. But it seems like they really like Baker, so I could
yeah,
see him coming back on the practice squad.
yeah. Maybe the practice squad, but
But Polk would probably be gone
yeah. I
because
mean,
we also have a lot of other receivers, lesser known receivers. There's Giles, there's Webb, guys like that that would be added to the practice squad
yeah,
probably before Polk. I
yeah.
think that's
Yeah,
just me.
yeah. I mean, I think John Giles, did a lot of good in the, preseason. I mean, I think that, he, can make the practice squad. I mean, I don't know if a 53-man roster spot is, there yet, but I think that, what you call it? I think that, things are looking in the right way, and hopefully that it could take. Hey, and don't get me wrong. Whenever I talk about players who go on the practice squad, that's not to say that I don't, wish them success, because you're not in the NFL for by an accident. This is a whole different league. It's different from college, but you know, my thing is like if you have a receiver room that's on paper that's looking good, I mean you don't the chances of you making the spot cut is not really there. I mean I don't I don't knock those guys for trying. I mean it's like I said before. Whenever we talk about preseason training camp, these guys are here to win. They're here to get paid. They're here to compete. They want to shine. It's just what it is, bro. But I think that you know, moving forward, I think things will be okay. I mean, it is what it is. But let's talk about our tight end room real quick. Of course, you got Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper, Jaheim Bell, and Jack Westover. By the way, this is the depth chart for the Patriots, and I think that next year we got to draft a tight end. That's not to say because our tight end room is not bad. I don't think it's bad. It's just the thing is with Hunter Henry, right? He's around the same age as Travis Kelsey, and this is Travis Kelsey's final year of his deal on the Chiefs. And what it looks like, I think Travis Kelsey is going to retire. I mean, not nothing official yet, but that's what it's looking up to be. But if you have Hunter Henry, who's around the same age as Travis Kelsey, you know, I think that you have to invest in the younger guys. And who knows how Jaheim Bell is gonna do? Who knows how Jack Westover is gonna do? I mean, like I said before, it's not that I don't wish these guys success. You know, it's just you gotta really, put them out there into the fire and really see what they're all about. I'm sure that that because they're young, they have some upside. But I think that with the tight end room, I think that we are getting a little older. I mean, you can't rely on Hunter Henry forever, and of course, we know Hunter Henry has been a phenomenal player for us, since coming to New England. You know, has been very undervalued just because of the lack of, quarterback play,
Mhm.
and also,
Coaching.
yeah,
Coaching.
coaching, and what our record was like. I mean, he doesn't get the flowers that he deserves because of those things. So, I, go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, I don't think we have a terrible tight end room. I like Hunter Henry. I like Austin Hooper. I was expecting we'd see more out of Jaheim Bell by now.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of underwhelmed at this point. But Jack Westover, the team seems to really like him, and they're also talking about using him at fullback.
Yep.
So seems to have a little more value right now than Jaheim Bell.
Yep.
Although I believe Jaheim Bell plays special teams.
Yep. He was on the scout team. Yep.
So it seems like Westover has a little more. I
Upside.
I don't know if it's upside, but it seems like the team may trust him a little more than they trust Bell.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as I told you all last offseason, I wanted a number one tight end. I wanted a number one tight end, and I wanted to really see the Patriots draft one.
Hey, your boy Tyler Warren has been doing well on the Colts in the preseason. That's what I've been seeing, bro.
Well, we didn't go that route, and I understand you're not going to fill all the holes that we had on the roster in one offseason.
Right.
So I had to temper my expectations a little bit, and I'm sure we'll get that tight end eventually. So
Yeah, I mean, it's of course, it's like you said, we're not gonna, fill all our holes in one off season, but I think we filled, the majority of the holes that we had to fill. I mean, cause hey, from what I'm looking right here, it's not a bad roster, but there's still, holes that need to be filled. You know what I mean?
yeah, I think we filled enough holes to make us a competitive team and knocking on the door of a playoff berth. We made probably just enough moves to do that. But based on the amount of salary cap space we have left, and based on some of the latest comments, like you were telling me earlier, but Elliot Wolf is stating about not being scared to use draft capital, first or second round pick to
Yep.
acquire additional talent, leads me to believe that who knows, maybe we might end up with someone like a Hendrickson or Terry McLaurin.
Yep.
It might be
let's
possible.
let's talk about that at the end. But that's not a bad thing to say. I think we can do that, but let's talk about that later. But to get back on topic here, right now, let's talk about the offensive line here. Well, this, like I said, this is the unofficial depth chart. At starters, you got Will Campbell, your starting left tackle, and like I said, this is the unofficial depth chart, so nothing's for certain. Cole Strange at left guard, Garrett Bradbury at center, Michael Wendell at right guard, and Morgan Moses at right tackle. So, um, and for the second string, you got Vidarian Lowe at left tackle, Layden Robinson at left guard, Ben Brown at center, City So at right guard, and Marcus Bryant at right tackle. And then the third string, you have Caden Wallace, Tyrese Robinson, Jared Wilson, Jack Conley, and Demontre Jacobs. Now, if I have to, fix this, I would say put uh, Jared Wilson, because from what it seems is he's doing good at the left guard in training camp. Put him at left guard. I would feel comfortable with Ben Brown taking snaps at center. I think he didn't do too bad as a center last year for us. Go ahead.
Ben Brown came off the street, like they said, like on a Thursday, and was playing that weekend. Ben Brown did an admirable job considering what we had for an offensive line last year. So
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with Ben Brown as well, and Jared Wilson shouldn't be considered third string.
My thing is, like I said, this is unofficial depth chart. This isn't, um, all set in stone yet. But I think that because we talked about it before. It with Gary Bradbury, man. I don't see him being our starting center moving forward. I mean, I understand why we made the move because that time we cut David Andrews and he retired, and I totally understand. And you guys know I made a video about it a couple months ago that I think this is for depth, and I think that it's going to be it's going to be uh, one of those things where it's going to be a competition, and not to mention we drafted Jared Wilson in as a center, and he was on paper the starting set. I mean, excuse me, the best center of the draft. And my thing is, I'm not just saying it. I mean, after reading some scouting reports of the draft, and they had him as the best center in the draft,
Mhm.
other than Tate Ratledge. Um, the thing is, though we drafted him as a center, right? I think that for safekeeping, put him at still use him put make sure he's taking reps at center, and continue to use him as a left guard. I mean, it's not like from what we have seen, he hasn't been able to do both. You know what I mean? But I like that. I think we should put him at left guard and put Big Ben Brown at center. Other than Michael Wendell and Morgan Moses at right guard and right tackle, I like that. I feel safe with that. Um, I do like Marcus Bryant. I feel like he has taken the best use of his opportunities. I think so. So I think that push comes to shove. I think Marcus Bryant can take that step. Say if Morgan Moses does go down, I think he can take that step. What do you think?
No, I can see that as well. I don't know how comfortable I feel with Cole Strange. That's my
Yeah,
question mark out of
yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
Cole
I agree
Strange
with that. Yeah.
has been there long enough that he should have progressed a lot further along, and having these guys' names mentioned before his is a little concerning to me. And like you said, he's in a contract year as well. So, um,
Hold up. I think we just got some news. Hold on. Wait, because I seen that. That's why I came here. So okay. Um. Okay. Okay. So this is just some preseason news. Nothing too major. Wait. We just got a scenario here. So from Savage Sports. So he tweeted today that why wouldn't the Patriots bring in Dalton Risner for a visit? The 13th ranked pass blocking guard in 2024. Uh, and he also said slide Jared Wilson to center and you got an O line. And this was Dalton Risner's PFF grade. He ranked 67th amongst guard. He has a pass blocking grade of 76.2. And then his run blocking grade 57.4, and he took 537 snaps. I think what you call it. I mean, in any case scenario, I don't think it will be a bad idea. I mean, I mean, it can't be worse. Not to bash the guy. I mean, I think that he's consistent. But I don't think that you know, with the run block, I mean, of course, that's something that you don't want to see in any lineman. You want your lineman to do both, but I think that, I don't think it would be bad considering all the depth help that we need on the offensive line. So, what do you think about this?
I'm not familiar with him.
Yeah.
All I'm going is based off the numbers that I'm seeing right now.
Right.
Whose spot does he take? So
That,
who do
that
we kick off the roster?
that's a good idea.
You know what I mean?
So,
Not saying that he's not better than anybody toward the back half of our roster.
right,
He may be,
right.
but we have to look at, okay, whose spot does he take, and what are the
Well,
financial ramifications of us taking him on
well,
and
let's
releasing
well
somebody
let's
else as
go back and
well.
look at
So
this. So let's look at our second string and third string. So Vidarian Lowe, Layden Robinson, Ben Brown, City Soul, Marcus Bryant, Caden Wallace, Tyrese Robinson, Jared Wilson, Jack Conley, Demontre Jacobs, and Alex Lindstrom and uh Makai Butler. So I see I we joked about it before, but Dario Lowe with the police escort, we can get him out of here. No, just playing. Let me chill. Uh, City Soul could look like a cut candidate. I mean, I don't like to talk about it. It's just because the fact of the matter is like these guys fight for spots. These guys compete. You know what I mean? But if your progression on the field isn't showing, then I'm sorry, you have to get going, bro. That's just what it is.
well, every team does some tweaking at the bottom of the roster around this time. So there'll be guys that we're surprised that get either traded or let go, and there'll be guys that'll be brought in that you'll be like, wow, I didn't realize this guy was available,
Right,
because
right.
you you mentioned this and alluded to this probably toward the start of the off season, is that other teams are in salary cap jail.
Yep.
So there's players that they're gonna have to let go on their roster that are talented,
Yeah.
but due to financial ramifications,
Right.
they're gonna be available.
And
So
a point I wanna add to that. That's why I always tell people it's always important that teams build through the draft because those are your future picks right there. It's a little off topic, but that's a point I wanted to make up. But since you asked who do we kick off the roster, well, I can at least name four candidates: Cole Strange, City So, Badario Lowe, and I do not. I say this because I really, just didn't like how this guy played last year, and Demontre Jacobs. I mean, we seen it with all the false start penalties, the holdings, and everything else. I mean, we don't want to see none of that. I mean, and progression is not there. You're not consistent. You're not, um, I don't. I'm not. I don't call people trash. I don't. I try not to. Call people trash, but it's lackluster. The play has been lackluster, so that's all it comes down to. I think it comes down to four, candidates. I mean, I don't know how Jack Conley's gonna do considering he's a rookie as well. I think he, can. I think he could, at least step up. I mean, young guy with some upside. I mean, and of course, there's other, uh, guys on this roster that on this depth chart that can be cut candidates or but that's my thing.
yeah, some of these guys are gonna be practice squad guys. You can only keep so many guys. So some guys are just naturally gonna be practice squad guys and get called up when needed, whether it's injury, whether it's suspensions, whether it's whatever. Guys will get called up, but some of these guys, unfortunately, you can't keep everybody.
Right, 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 right.
So some
Absolutely.
guys will be on the practice squad. Some guys are going to IR. What's his name? Lan Larison
Yep,
is
Land
on
Larison.
IR.
Yep,
What's the gentleman I mentioned earlier? Aiton.
yep. I in. Yep, yep.
He's going to IR. So who knows who's not ready to
Isaiah
go?
I in. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
who knows who's not ready to go and ends up on IR for the season, which opens up an opportunity for somebody else.
Right, right, right.
So
Okay, so before we move on, who would you have as your starting offensive line throughout the season? Then?
No, I'm comfortable with the starting offensive line that you said.
So Will Campbell,
Yep.
Jared Wilson,
Morgan Moses.
Morgan Moses, Michael Wenu, and Ben Brown. Would you be
Yeah.
comfortable with?
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah. Yeah.
agree.
Definitely.
I agree. So let's talk about what we were talking about earlier. That's the trade proposals. So as we heard that Trey Hendrickson is now available for the trade trade, and a lot of teams have been calling the Cincinnati Bengals for Trey Hendrickson. I expect the Patriots to be on that list. Now, as a brief, for brief, seconds, who would you, what would you give up, and what would you get in exchange? Of course, Trey Hendrickson, but what would you get in exchange as far as like draft capital goes?
So I know you and I talked about this earlier, but our viewers aren't aware. But I'd have to say, seeing as though Anthony Jennings and Kyle Duggar
Mm-hmm.
and Kendrick Bourne are all considered long shots to make our roster as it is,
Yep.
I could see including one, two, or maybe even all three of them and a draft pick or two to acquire Hendrickson. I could see,
Right.
I would package all three of those together because Cincinnati needs all the defensive help they can get.
Right.
I would package all three of those together
Right.
and include a third pick because I want to say we have two third rounders for next year. I could be wrong, but I think we
I
have two
think
third
we had,
rounders.
yeah, two or three. I think I'll have to check again, but I agree with that. I like that. I will. In exchange, I wouldn't mind having Trey Hendrickson and either a fifth or fourth round pick. I wouldn't mind that, but I hope that the Patriots are in trade discussions because, as we heard earlier, Elliot Wolf, made that statement. If giving up first or second round picks to help the football team, you know, if you're gonna make a statement like that, you better show it. That's my thing. But anyway, guys, we want to thank you guys for watching today's video. We know it's been a little while since we came in and did an episode, and I know some of you guys were asking where was Coach Mayo, but hey, expect this video.
We'll be doing another episode
Yeah,
soon.
we will be doing another one, and we'll get back to you guys. But as always, guys, thank you, and always stay safe, stay blessed, and as always, go Pats. Let's go, baby. Woo!